And hiding at the back of Galago is the troop of monkeys that I'm fairly certain is the same troop that attempts to terrorize the residents of the DRC, the camp. Little baby. Whoop, hop, hop. This is a wonderful sighting, actually. It's not often we get to see a baby monkey playing like this. Look how skinny it is. Come back, little one. Escaped the safety of mum to explore its world. And much like the other baby animals that we see, it looks sort of all head and a bit of feet and wobbly hips, watching the Inyala walk past, attempting to entice another individual into a game of catch me if you can. Oh, caught you. This is incredible. When last did you have a monkey sighting like this on live television? You can see it testing its boundaries. And somehow... Play with me, play with me. Nope. Mom? What was that? Oh, so exciting. Hello, Mummy. And back again. Game. Oh, ow. Gentle tussling happening here. Oh, I think you picked on more than you can chew. And there's something about baby monkeys, baby vervet monkeys, with their pink faces that adds a whole nother aspect to their personalities. Mom? Oh, such a brave little monkey. Catch me, catch me, catch me if you can, catch me if you can. Ha, too slow. Hello, Mum. Ha, got you, got you. Uh-oh. And of course, all a very important part of their social bonding, and you can see how that sub-adult that it's playing with, that the baby is playing with, is so gentle in its response to what is a deliberate provocation. Nope, go away. Mom. She's not interested. Look at that monkey. It's so fascinating to see, almost bald. Ah, Mom's not looking now. And that is such an interesting sight to witness, the way in which they play together and the gentleness of the little one. Oh, and some serious lack of coordination there. I mean, that monkey, that baby monkey really is all head and tail, ridiculously out of proportion. And so incredibly playful, making a nuisance of itself with the entire troop, exploring, getting to know its place, and now sitting and having a good scratch. What we were talking about with the zebra, at least the monkeys, oh! And Sir Richard, I'm glad you are as thrilled as I am to have a sighting like this. Oh, time to wrap itself around Mom's belly This is Sir Richard's first time watching a baby monkey play. Definitely my first time as well on these live drives. And the wonderful thing about this camera that we're currently operating, imagine viewing the world from upside down almost constantly. Mom's got hold of some really, really juicy grass roots. She's shoveling. It does really look a bit like Gollum. There's no other way around it. Seeking refuge with Mum. He's been busy foraging and ignoring the antics of her youngster, despite his best efforts. And of course, with monkeys, that bond between mother and baby is so phenomenally strong. And not just with Mom, but the entire troop. One playing the role of the sentry, the rest of them moving around, looking to forage food. Obviously, the DRC, our camp where we live, hasn't proved to be all that productive. Even the adults are feeling playful. Watching them spring so nimbly from tree to tree. Not often that we really get to experience this, so for new viewers, this is a really exciting and very special sighting. To see a troop of vervet monkeys, relaxed as they are, and just going about their everyday life. Look at that call. Oh, that was a rallying cry. A dominant female of the group decided, hey, it's time for us to move. Checking around, and it's not in response to any kind of predator. That was a decision that we saw being made by one of the oldest monkeys in the group that decided that it was time to go. And that is fascinating to see. Now, I think that they are heading off towards the DRC to try and see if they can find something, anything to snack upon. And Felicity, you're wondering, what is it that brings vervet monkeys in particular and baboons in certain areas, not so much in this particular part of the Sabi Sands, what is it that brings monkeys into camps? Is it food or is it shelter? And the answer is food. Even with your absolute best efforts to keep every rubbish bin sealed, every piece of rubbish put away, every food item put away, they have learned over time that people mean food, and they will try and take advantage of that. And I mean in certain areas, not in this particular area, but in certain areas that I've been to, I really mean they will take advantage of it. They will take food out of your hand. They move that quickly and are that bold. It's one of those interesting interactions. They've learned that people are associated with food, and very often people are associated with rubbish bins that are left unattended. It's one of the reasons why it is so important in terms of camp ethics to keep a camp clean and to keep food away from them. And you can imagine what it's like in smallish rooms in midsummer. You want to keep the windows open, you want to keep the doors open to try and get airflow through. And what that means is either you get monkeys, or in the case of poor Kirsty yesterday, you find mice that have decided to nest in your room. It's just one of those aspects of bush life. And there's nothing like encountering a monkey indoors. If you think that a hurricane can cause internal damage, you must just have a look at what happens to a kitchen after a troop of monkeys go through it. They learn to smash jars to get at the contents. They learn to open boxes. They are unbelievably intelligent, and they like to raid. That is what they do. That's why it's so important to have very high standards of hygiene. And June Bee has obviously experienced the attack of the vervet monkey troop before. June Bee has said she wouldn't mind if they ate all the food, but what they do is they take one bite out of everything. And I once watched, and she's absolutely right, that's exactly what they do. I once set up a bush breakfast, got all the volunteers were out on a walk, I got all of the food, eggs, bacon, and what we term a skottel, which is basically a gas, in your terms, it's a gas barbecue, essentially. Set up the skottel, started cooking bacon, eggs, prepping everything for the volunteers to arrive in a riverbed, beautiful setting. And a monkey jumped down and took a block of cheese, big block of cheese, climbed into the fig tree just out of my reach, and sat and looked at me and nibbled all the way around, the entire way around. Every single piece or every edge of that cheese was covered in monkey bites, and then it just looked at me and went chuk, and dropped it on the ground next to me. There you go, my gift to you, have my half-eaten cheese. So yes, they've learnt that eating on the run is the way forward, but I promise you that monkey deliberately ate that piece of cheese in the way it did. Unfortunately, all of our monkeys have disappeared. I would like to be able to start up the vehicle again. Let's see how we go. We might get lucky. On our way to the hyena den, there's a very cross squirrel somewhere, chattering away. Short of rolling, which we can do, we can roll down to that dip, but short of rolling, unfortunately, I'm going to have to send you back to Brent because I can't start the car.
So we've made our way into the area where those hyena were calling. I think they might be at One Eye Pad, which is in Simbambili. But this is the area where they were calling. I was hoping we might find that hyena who was carrying that piece of buffalo skin. But no such luck. I wonder if they're at Hyena Beach, which is very close to us in the block here. So Hyena Beach, for those who don't know, is this secret little pan protected from evaporation by quite a lot of shade. The hyenas quite like to hang out there. Oh, so as a Sabi sand vehicle coming on the road, I'm just going to let them go past. I can smell elephant. It's got elephant tracks crossing through into Djuma here, so let's go have a look. Hyena tracks. So I think the woman's heading into this area behind us. Hopefully they decide to come back in the next few hours between the sunrise and sunset safaris. Alyssa says the bar is set, the Nkrumah girls need to have cubs now. Unfortunately, Alyssa, I said, I don't think that's going to happen till at the earliest, the end of June, but I think probably closer to September. The Birminghams are new males, they've just started mating with them, and that first estrus cycle is going to be a false estrus cycle to sort of confirm the bonds between the males and the females. And the females don't want to expel all the energy of producing cubs and having to look after them if the males get ousted very quickly. That's why they have that first set of false estrus, and only the next estrus will possibly produce cubs. So let's have a look at the tracks here. Tracks of a buffalo herd actually coming and heading north, and it doesn't look like the hyenas are here. have some wonderful impalalas. But don't worry, Jamie is on her way to the hyena den, so hopefully we'll get something from there. So, little bachelor group. These little boys here are last wet season's babies. You can see. So, over a year old now, and you can see how quickly those horns grow. One looked a little bit stiff in the leg. I can't see anything too bad with it, but we noticed there as that impala on the right feeds off a bush and the impala on the left feeds off grass. So one of the reasons impala are such a successful species is that they are one of the few animals that both browse and graze regularly. So they're able to take advantage of both of the main food sources in the African bush. And it's the most numerous animal south of the Sahara. Okay, moving off into the block. A very warm Safari Live welcome to the Her Ahmad, who's a new viewer on YouTube. So welcome and thanks for joining us on this really exciting and epic sunrise safari. And the Her is wondering, is that an average group size for impala? Not really. I mean, the impala sizes, group sizes vary quite heavily. I mean, we did see a group of, I would guess, around 80. With all the babies and everything around. This was probably about 9 or 10, a little bachelor group. So there is huge variance in impala herd sizes and group sizes. I'd probably say on average, probably about 20, 25 is a good average for impala in this area. And one must remember that even a little bit further south of us, the group sizes are probably a bit bigger, and a bit further north they may be a bit smaller. It all depends on availability of food and water. Still smelling that very distinct elephant smell, so I'm going to loop around towards our northern boundary and hopefully the ellies are around there. Is wondering, how do I know that other vehicles will not go sneak into that area where Karula and her cub, possibly cubs, are? Linda, I think we know most of the guides here, and everyone at the end of the day has the best interests of the animal at heart, and I don't think anyone's going to sneak in there, and if they do, and if they get caught, the repercussions will be dire. So I don't think anyone's going to sneak in there, and not to say that someone can't, but we have to be able to trust the people we work with and in an area we work with, and I don't feel that anyone is going to be silly enough to go in there. I mean,
yeah, yesterday when we moved the Bajaj was
as I said, the repercussions could be very, very serious for the person who decides to break that rule. So what will happen now, as I explained yesterday, is we are on Djuma, and we will have to speak to Taxon, who's the senior guide, Aubrey, who's also a very senior guide, and together we will chat and come up with a plan going forward and how to deal with this. As I said, probably for the 10 days to 2 weeks, we won't let any vehicles in there, especially not vehicles that are full of people. If anything, we will go with Taxon and Aubrey in between drives and stop quite far away, assess the situation before anything's going forward. But as I said, from today, I don't think we're going to do anything for at least a week. It's just leave her alone, give her the best chance and those cubs the best chance possible. Doing some road rearranging there. So Jenny in Virginia is asking that I keep giving updates about that hyena, about that leopard cub. Sorry, I said hyena because I saw these very interesting tracks here and of a hyena moving at high speed. I can see the hyenas running because it sort of took off from here. Oh, and there's an impala over there. You can see they're just watching me. So if we have a look, see how the hyena tracks here are quite close together, and all of a sudden they start getting wider and then even wider. So this hyena is now sort of hit fifth gear. Oh, water duck as well. Chasing each other around, the little boys. But you can see that hyena's got really excited about something and that's moved off. And speaking of hyenas, Jamie is at the hyena den, so she has got an update for you.
Well, it appears as though our hyena clan is otherwise occupied. Now, we spoke a bit when we were at the buffalo kill of the Nkuhumas yesterday, spoke a bit about the possibility, because a hyena did pay a visit, that it was the Djuma clan, and I said I didn't think so, but I wasn't entirely certain. I thought we were right on the boundary of their clan's territory, and apparently they spent the evening there last night after the Nkuhumas left and went to go and find water around Simbambili. That's what they've been up to, raiding buffalo carcasses. When we first arrived, there was a sub-adult, but it disappeared off very quickly. I'm fairly certain it was one of the oldest cubs, so it was the matriarch's cub. Vanished off, and I can hear a hyena, or I could hear a hyena calling, that very low contact ooh, not the proper full whoop that we get. And I know that some of our viewers have been sending through their best hyena imitation, which always is very impressive. Let's go see if we can. I wanted to just get my vehicle started as quickly as possible there, so that we didn't get stuck at an empty hyena den. Now the cubs have gone to bed. They are fast asleep. But yes, I've been very impressed by the efforts of some of our viewers to send through their animal impressions. And just think of the realms of possibility of the number of things you could do, from hornbills to zebras. That's a challenge. And of course you have to compete with Brian, who is the master imitator in terms of animal calls. He's got the different animal sounds down to a T. Now, I would ask Brian to imitate a hyena, but I almost feel as though it's sort of below his skill level, almost. Yeah, it's too easy. It's too easy. Apparently, Andrew was requested to do a cackle, the hyena giggle, which is, I confess, I don't know. I mean, I consider myself to be amongst some of the worst animal sound imitators in the world. I'll give you my best monkey impressions, since we are currently making our way away from an empty hyena den. And my best monkey impression is, on a good day, probably sort of equivalent to Donald Duck, and it goes something like this. Hey, hey. And that is my vervet monkey impression. Oh, there you go. Oh, no, you see, Brian just puts me to shame every time. Black-bellied bastards, he's got it taped. Vervet monkeys. Hyena cackle.
That's for another day.
Nah, that's for another day. We can't.
One per drive.
One per drive. You have to stay tuned for all of these golden moments of presenters and cameramen imitating things. I did my best leopard mating impression the other day, but I still think, and those of you who have seen the video, I still think Scott's motorbike impression is the winner. Amazing. Where's this calling hyena? Well, Donna's offered a contribution, and Donna says that
So it seems Jamie is really, really infested with gremlins this morning. And I'm sure they all live in Brian's long hair, which is much longer than mine even. See, the reason I'm growing my hair is to try and catch up with Brian. But hopefully he shakes his head and shakes them loose shortly. So the hyena den is inactive, and I heard Jamie was doing some vervet monkey impressions. I'm not sure whether she was doing alarm calls, but there we go. It was an alarm call. So I think we should get Andrew to do an alarm call. Andrew, can you do a vervet monkey alarm call?
Hey, what you doing over there? Hey, what you doing?
So, Andrew is doing his impression of what he thinks a vervet monkey alarm call is saying. So, as we've heard them quite often on the safari drives, it is almost like leopard, 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 is what I always think they say. Lion, 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 lion. Baboon alarm calls for me are definitely the most fun because there's different pitches and they change quite often. So baboons always the one baboon goes lion, the other one goes where? He goes over there. Careful, lion. So I really enjoy, and they are fascinating. All the primates are really, really interesting creatures to watch. Unfortunately, due to the fact we have no major river systems around us, we don't see as many baboons as we would like. And they do move through the area, especially after there's been rain, but I don't think there's been enough rain to really attract them onto Djuma or Arathusa at the moment. Donna in South Carolina says she does a great impression of a cat throwing up. If we would like to hear it. Of course we'd like to hear it, Donna. Pop it on our Facebook page, which is Safari Live, or pop it on Twitter with the hashtag Safari Live. Andrew, do you know what a cat throwing up sounds like?
I don't think I want to know.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I've never really had cats while growing up. Our family is very much a dog family. We've never really had cats. I know it's always quite funny with pets, especially domestic dogs or domestic cats. Oh, hello. Can see how buffaloes are great fertilizers of the bush. As they move, they turn up the ground with their hooves being heavy, and they also deposit kilograms of fertilizer a day. Oh, you hear that, Andrew? It sounds like there's long-tailed shrikes having a fight. Or magpie shrikes. Let's have a look. You can hear it up ahead. Let's see if we can see what's going on there. It's moving, and they can get really, really aggressive. Long-tailed shrikes. I've seen flocks literally rip each other apart. And this is sounding quite heated. I wonder if it's because there are other long-tailed shrikes, or there could possibly be a snake. Oh, it's not long-tailed shrikes, it's white-crowned shrikes. At least I got the shrike part right. It sounded very similar. Hear that? There you go, that's that noise. There were 3 on the branch as we drove up. The other 2 flew off. Very pretty little birds. Oh, off it goes. Wonder if it's having... Is there another one there? No. There we go. So it wasn't a fight, it was begging. So we just noticed how the one on the left has fed the one on the right, so that's a baby. You can see the crown isn't properly formed on that one yet. So all that shouting is like, is the little one saying, feed me, feed me, feed me. Now that some food has been fed, far less vocal. Yeah, well, very interesting. So, I was saying, it always very funny, I find, with domestic pets, with people either very firmly on one side or the other. I know there are people who sit on both fences, but if I had to decide on what pet I would have, I'm afraid I'm definitely a dog person. Andrew, what are you? Dog. So it seems like Brian has managed to shake a few of the gremlins out of his hair. So let's hop on with Jamie and see what she's got.
Poor old Rusty, beset by gremlins. And I feel as though my best approach is to stay stationary for as long as possible. Luckily, we've got a beautiful crested barbet hopping around in this bush willow. And with this incredible camera, you really get to see the different colorings within it. There we go. Thank you, Brian. Just have a look at those black and white mottled stripes, and then the incredible yellow of the face, and then that little flash of red. Now, incredible thing for those musicians of out there watching our show, those of you who play the didgeridoo, for example, and I'm sure there are many viewers who are competent. Oh, there goes our barbet. But there are many viewers competent in the art of didgeridoo. Why am I bringing that up? Because circular breathing, it's a technique known by musicians who play wind instruments. So, for example, something I tried and failed to master when I was practicing the flute, which is to breathe in whilst breathing out, sort of, in a sort of rough summary. And the crested barbet does exactly that. So that trill call, and since we're on the subject of imitations, the call of the crested barbet that goes on far longer than I can actually continue to do it is because they breathe in, they've got dual tracheas, so they can breathe in through one and blow out through the other. An adaptation purely for calling. How interesting is that? And it's all, of course, a part of their breeding aspect, attracting a mate. And if you can call for extended periods of time, then obviously you're a suitable candidate. Now, my barbet trill only lasts for as much lung capacity as I have. And amazing to think that I can be outdone by a tiny little bird, the size of, just bigger than the size of my hand. Try and dodge the trees. Don't want to knock Rusty's aerial in case we disappear on you again. We were in the middle of talking about Donna's fantastic cat throwing up impression, which is no mean feat. I don't think I could do a passable vomiting cat. I'll have to leave that for the experts. And I don't think I'm even going to try. I don't think I'm even going to attempt it. I have, however, experienced it. I know that Brent was talking about cats and dogs. I'm very much a dog person as well. And I've always been a dog person. However, there is one exception to the rule, and that is my cat. And my cat wandered into the house when I was, I think I was about 12 or 13 years old, on Christmas Eve. Wandered off the streets, walked into my bedroom, climbed onto my bed, and 14 years later, my cat is still my cat. She only comes to me when I'm home. When I'm not at home, she will descend to the level of associating with my parents. But that's different. The cat is special. Tallulah is special because she didn't say where she was going or where she came from, and hence the name Tallulah for those of you who get the reference. We put up signposts, signs to say, has there a lost cat anywhere? We have no idea. And I'm fairly certain that my cat is the most beautiful cat in the world. But I might be biased. But yes, So our viewers getting on board, trying to decide if they're a cat or dog person. Brian, what are you? Dog person? Yep. I call that. Brian is definitely a dog person. Apparently we have lots and lots of dog lovers. One of those interesting things. Can I be a hyena person? Is that allowed? Sits on the fence almost. Take the in-between. But yes. One of those things. We shouldn't have to choose, and yet we do. So lots of you out there are definitely dog lovers and cat lovers. Oh, wait. And Brenda, in answer to your question, Brenda's watching in Virginia and was wondering what happened to the zebra kill of Tingana's the other day, or that happened yesterday. Impressive kill for a leopard his size. Unfortunately, a little bit too impressive. So he didn't manage to hoist it into the tree, Brenda, and it was dragged all the way onto Elephant Plains. I spoke to Davy, who's one of the guides there, and he said that they had the tracks going all the way to the hyena den in Elephant Plains, which is easily a 2-kilometer or 1 mile distance, if not more, which just goes to show the incredible strength of a hyena clan, or one individual hyena just dragging an entire carcass.
So, obviously, Brian has failed to shake the gremlins out of his hair. So, we're back. And we are just having a quick closer look around Zoe's for the last tracks of Shadow were. So, going very slowly, checking a nice sandy road up ahead to see if we can spot any leopard tracks. And as I said, she's being very, very secretive at the moment. And then, just speaking of leopards, Jamie's asked me to finish her update about Tingana. He's crossed out of our traverse area, so unfortunately we were unable to follow up. And strange enough, I actually got asked about that very few minutes ago. So I'm going to just update Craig. From update for you on Tingana, he's crossed into Hoffman's.
Thank you.
Just looks like only hyena tracks so far. Heating up nicely at the moment. I reckon it's probably close on 30 degrees already. So I think today's going to be a scorcher. I think we might hit over 100 Fahrenheit by the sunset safari, or the start of the sunset safari at least. Wow, there we go. It is 36 degrees already. And Andrew, how's your man? There we go. 96 Fahrenheit. Thank you, Kirsten, and Final Control for that. And so it's 96 Fahrenheit already, and I'm not even sure what the time is. What's the time? Andrew, quarter to 8. Andrew's having a look on camera. It's a quarter to 8 in the morning, and we're already close on 96 Fahrenheit. So it is possible that it is going to go over 100 today. So for those of you who watch the Djuma cam religiously, there's a good chance there should be some earlies during the heat of the day coming to cool off and drink. That is the other thing we're searching for at the moment. Not only are we checking for Shadow's tracks, but also love to catch up with some earlies. So James Taylor is also wondering, where are the wildly beasts, the wildebeest that we saw in quarantine just after they gave birth to all their babies? Strange enough, after dark last night, when Jamie and I were on our way home after dinner, we saw them on quarantine. So there's a strong likelihood they could be in this area we're driving now. So hopefully we catch up. James says he's listed those wildies. And now, I've got a theory on how wildebeest got their name. It's not a gospel truth, but to me, it's the most logical explanation. So, wildebeest is from the original Dutch, and there were wildebeest that used to live around Cape Town in days gone by. And I think the first Dutch settlers used to stop in Cape Town to replenish their fresh water and food stocks. Hello, boys. A little bachelor herd of impala. And no sign of Nelson. We will keep checking. So, as I was saying, those early sailors, Dutch sailors that used to replenish their stocks in the Cape of Storms. And one of the first animals they saw was a wildebeest, and they went, "Oh, wildebeest!" Basically, a wild cow, which is not entirely correct, but it does have the look of a cow. So I think that's how wildebeest got their name, and it's sort of now a couple of 100 years later. We still call them wildebeest. But if we break down the origins of the word wilde, wild, and beest, cow. So for James now, I've changed my route and I'm looking for those wild cows. So Eggy is wondering about I'm not sure whether Eggy's wondering about the leopard birth of cubs, and Krula gave birth last night. And Eggy's wondering if there's ever been a live birth recorded. Yes, we've recorded live wildebeest births. I'm not sure Impala, not while I've been here. Not while Andrew's been here, he shakes his head at me. But in terms of a live leopard or lion birth, as far as I know, there's never in the wild been not even a live birth, but a birth filmed. As you can see, it quite often happens in very secretive spots and crevices and caves. So near impossible to actually capture that. I know they have been filmed in captivity, but as far as I'm aware, there's never been a leopard birth filmed in the wild, live or not. As I was just saying, we have captured wildebeest birthing live. Jamie and I think it was Liam. No, Andrew is very upset, and I did that on purpose. It was Andrew who filmed the live wildebeest birth this December, and I think last December it was Liam, and that's how he got his nickname, Wildebeest. He was the first person to film a live wildebeest birth. So in my time in the bush, I've actually seen quite a few birds. I've seen giraffe give birth. I've seen elephant give birth. I've seen impala, wildebeest, zebra, lechwe, sesame, topi. What else now? I'm sure there's a few more that I can't think of offhand, that I actually have been privileged enough to witness the birds. But obviously, live, I've only ever seen just after a birth on the live safaris at Djuma, and that was wildebeest as well. So, while I try to figure out what other birds I've seen, let's go find out from Jamie what birds she's seen in the bush.
And whilst Brent tries to think of his extensive list of animals that he's seen giving birth, I went through mine and tried to think of all of them, and I came to one. I have seen one wildebeest give birth. I have not been fortunate enough to share in those experiences that Brent has had. I've come very close. I almost watched an elephant birth, but I don't really think that counts. And I did go investigate afterwards, but it doesn't really count unless you see it. It's still an incredible experience though, to go and have a look at the placenta and the meconium, the baby's first feces. Really, really interesting to witness. And of course that wildebeest birth for all of us will stand out in our memories. One of those special moments, and of course not just my wildebeest birth, but the one that Brian filmed, the one that the wildebeest, or Liam, filmed as well, hence the nickname, the wildebeest. And as it happens, I'm in the area where the wildebeest do like to be. In a strange but related coincidence, it's also one of the safe areas for Rusty, and I think we should be okay as we drive along Zoe's. I'm going to do circles around the repeater for now. Unfortunately, this morning has been beset by problems. But it's okay, we'll take Rusty to the techno doctor and get it all sorted out before the sunset safari. But yes, the wildebeest love this area. And why do they love this area? Well, it's a seep line. So what essentially that means is that there's a layer of rock underneath the soil which pushes the water closer to the surface. It sort of directs the way in which the water flows. And what that means is that for the plant life around here, they have slightly more access to fresh water around the place. And there's a very good chance we could come across the wildebeest. And as they take advantage of the new growth. And I'm sure many of you have noticed how different it looks over the last few days, and already, I must admit, already that is starting to change. But the greenery is phenomenal. The speed at which an ecosystem like this recovers with just a few millimeters of rain is absolutely incredible. And almost immediately you start getting fresh green grass shoots coming through. It just goes or serves as an important reminder of just how resilient this place really is. And we might not have had enough rain to fill the dams, but it's enough to just supplement the plant's growth, and ultimately they will be what sees the animals through this dry season, particularly the trees, because of course they've got underground water. So they're more than capable of sustaining the wildlife around here. And speaking of wildlife, let's see what these male impala have to offer. This is the bachelor herd we regularly see here. I'm actually going to just shift forward a little bit so we can have a look at the ones on the left. Now, of course, I was actually chatting to this with Brian yesterday about the fact that every time I drive past a bachelor herd of impala now, I automatically look for our one-eyed, one-horned friend that I have named Harvey Dent and that Brent has named Nelson. And in hindsight, and I hate to admit this, and please don't mention this to Brent, in hindsight, I think the name Nelson was actually a better choice. And I'm so disappointed in myself, except that that impala has all four legs. And I'm fairly certain that by the end of it, Nelson, oh no, he was missing an arm. Either way, historically, I think that Brent's name might be better. No sign, though, of Harvey or Nelson or the one-horned impala. And Kirsty, in final control in an act of brutal betrayal, has already told Brent that I admitted that the name is better. Oh, Kirsty, you don't understand. This is devastating news. Here I think that I'm telling you guys things in confidence, and Brent apparently is doing a happy dance on Jigger. But look at how incredible these impala really look in the morning sun. Even in this bright light. They are stunning to look at. No sign of the one-horned impala. Now you see I don't want to use the name at all. I'm going to be obtuse about it. He generally tends to hang out around Elephant Carcass, so a little bit of a distance away from where we are now. And I don't think, despite his disabilities, I think that there's still a very strong possibility that he is still well alive and kicking, if perhaps only on his right side. You can see why or how that injury to the eye might have happened. So we're looking at these impala now. They're fairly peaceful, sitting feeding or standing feeding. But during their rutting period, and they did go through a period of false rut as well, which is when the injury to that impala's eye happened. Oh, you look like you're going to poke your eye out on a thorn branch, mister. Having a very good scratch. But you can imagine how missing a horn and then clashing with another impala, immediately that impala would be left defenseless. Continuation of the very start of the morning, we've come full circle, chatting about animals without thumbs and the ways in which they managed to scratch themselves. Did you see there how he licked his lips after he groomed himself? That was because he dislodged ticks and dust and parasites. Sort of an extension of the conversation about the zebra stripes. So obviously get hotter because they absorb the heat, they don't reflect the sun backwards, and thus attract more ticks, meaning that the ticks that the impala are carrying are concentrated around the rear end, allowing for them to groom more efficiently. Now, you may make of that theory what you will. I don't think it makes much sense, because if it was, although there he is grooming those stripes as we speak, but if that was an adaptation, you wouldn't think it would be in the most awkward place for the impala to reach. It's one of those everlasting mysteries, just like the black patches of fur around the back of their back legs. We know that there are glands there. We know that they transmit a scent and that it's used in communication with other impala. But why specifically there and what their particular purpose is, no one really knows. Part of a perhaps herding instinct when chased, to secrete a hormone from there and allow them to follow each other in a pheromone trail. Again, unlikely. I think that they are so beset by panic if they are ever chased by a predator that they don't really focus on where they're going. Certainly not busy processing the scents. And even now, as the morning starts to get hotter, did you see how attuned they are to each other's visual cues? Now, this impala that walked past, he was perfectly relaxed until he saw the other two males. And the other two males were looking off in alert at something. And in fact, all of them are now. Most likely, they've just heard something moving. Thought about having a fight there and then decided against it. Well, most likely they've heard something moving, and it could be a warthog, an impala, a francolin even. But when you're on the menu, as impala are, it pays to be on alert and ready to bolt into action as soon as possible. Let's go and investigate, though. Let's go see if we can figure out what it was that they were looking at. Well done, Rusty. That's a very good question, because yesterday I picked up some porcupine quills and I said that I'd taken them for the lovely ladies in FC who don't always get to join us out on drive. And Mike, who's watching in Florida, was wondering whether the ladies had taken their porcupine quills, and no, they haven't. They are still sitting on my box. And my porcupine quills are still here. I will, however, offer them to them when I get back to camp. Unfortunately, the ones that I used to secure my hair, the one was very much shattered by its experience encountering the disaster zone that is the keratin produced by my head. The struggle of holding it upright would just prove to be too much for that poor porcupine quill. Luckily, I've got lots and lots, so I will hand them over to the ladies in FC. I think we all just forgot about it, to be honest. One thing I have noticed, and Brian can't show you at the moment because it's straight into the sun, and it's not the best view of them, and they're moving fairly fast, but there are vultures circling all over Djuma this morning. And I think that comes of the fact that there was that buffalo carcass and the zebra carcass as well that has attracted them. And now the hyenas have finished off the best or most of it. And they are taking advantage now of the warm thermals, so the heat of the day, sending up warm air currents and allowing them to fly in a way that is the most energy efficient for them. What were these impala looking at? I can't see anything. Maybe it was just a francolin moving through, or even another impala herd. It could well have been. It is one of those fascinating things to watch the movements of the scavengers around kill sites. And we spoke a bit about the hyenas gathering the carcass last night, and the fact that you saw one this morning with a piece of buffalo skin. And perhaps the other hyena clan was very distracted by the presence of the dead zebra that Tingana had, enough so that their attention was drawn away from the buffalo, allowing the Djuma clan to sneak into the no man's land of their territories and seize upon the opportunity to munch on that carcass. While we look for the wildebeest herds and other wonders to show you, let's pop over to Brent for an update on his side.
So, Andrew and I are still a bit distracted after the excitement this morning, so we decided to clear our heads by heading all the way down towards our eastern boundary. Maybe a lion has popped into Djuma while we've been so distracted with the wonderful news that Karula has given birth. So there were some lions on the property to the east of us, so we're going to have a quick squiz along the eastern boundary for tracks. So I know a lot of you worried about the drought, but if the drought continues, from Karula and Karula's cubs' point of view, it's very good. It makes hunting for Karula much easier. The animals she's hunting are not in the best condition, so it'll be quite a bit easier for her to feed herself while she's lactating, and then later to feed the cubs if this dry weather continues. So predators. What is that, Andrew? Hyena. Yeah. Hyena. Yeah. There we go. Just saw the tracks running along there. It's a hyena. And so it's going to be much easier for her to provide for the cubs during a drought than it would be not during a drought. So interesting, the fact droughts are literally a time of plenty for predators. So, as we come towards marula fruiting season, Matthew in Michigan's got a very interesting thing. He said, would a predator like Karula actually eat marula fruit? I've never seen a leopard eat marula fruit. I've seen hyenas actually eat marula fruit. And some of the other smaller carnivores, jackals are huge fans of it, honey badgers, civet, but I've never seen a leopard or a lion eat marula fruit. And speaking of apex predators eating marula fruit, so Scott yesterday, while we were on the sunset safari following Karula, was out collecting marulas, and he is busy at the moment brewing his own batch of marula marmalade, I suppose is the best description, and I'm sure he will tell you all about it on the sunset safari. He was very excited at his progress so far. So maybe we'll get Scott to show you what his marula marmalade looks like once it's a bit further down the road. And Scott actually sent a message through to Final Control saying, "Yay, leopard cub!" So he's also very excited that the queen has given birth. If you hear a funny sound, it is Andrew spraying sun cream on himself. In case everyone wonders and thinks we have a flat tire with that going on. So yesterday we were discussing the difference between cubs and kittens. Ian obviously missed the sunset safari, tisk Ian, but Ian is with us on the sunrise safari and would like to know what is the difference between cubs and kittens. Ian, as far as I can understand, it's size, so anything that's quite big becomes a cub. So if we look at even cheetah's probably the counterpoint. You have cheetah cubs, you have leopard cubs, you have lion cubs, you have bear cubs, you have hyena cubs. Oh, there we go. We found the wild dogs, but unfortunately they're still quite far north of us. Hopefully they come visit. So, what do you see, Andrew? Still a hyena.
Yeah, hyena.
Hyena, there we go. So, I'm trying to think of anything else. So we've got, outside of the normal big cats, we know we've got hyena cubs and bear cubs. Do you think of any, I suppose, big cats, cougar cubs, or mountain lion cubs, tiger cubs? When it's smaller, it seems to be kittens. So it's serval kittens, caracal kittens, and I'm guessing, but I'm pretty confident that it's very similar to with the antelope. Inyala is actually your cut-off species with antelope. So everything smaller than the Inyala are rams and ewes, and they have lambs. And Inyala is a funny one because you have an Inyala ewe and a Inyala bull, but their babies are still lambs, an Inyala lamb. But anything bigger, you have a kudu bull and a kudu cow and a kudu calf, and going upwards. So I think it's more than likely to do with size. Hope that helps Ian. As I said, that's my idea is that cubs and kittens are all to do with the size of the animal. So Heidi, who's in the gambling capital of the world, Las Vegas. I almost expected Andrew to throw out a Viva Las Vegas from behind the camera. He missed his cue though, unfortunately. But Heidi would like to know whether the cubs are born blind and deaf like domestic cats. Yes to blind. I don't think they're 100% deaf, but obviously their hearing is impaired, and it's going to be a couple of days, probably about a week or so before they open their eyes. And the one exciting thing is that when the leopard cub opens its eyes, they have the most spectacular, deep, dark blue eyes. So far, only hyena tracks and a kudu and some waterbuck. Looks like a gang of little boys there trotting away. All young males, probably about 2 years old. No, actually probably a bit younger, maybe younger than 2 years old. Haven't quite developed those sweeping horns yet. Still little stumps. There we go. Oh, every time I see waterbuck, I'm always amazed at how fluffy they are around the neck. Hello, little boys. I think it's one of the few times when as an adult man I can say fluffy. You can see that very distinctive white ring around their bottoms. As the old joke goes, it looks like they've just sat on a freshly painted toilet seat. So obviously that ring is very important. It is a following mechanism, so it enables waterbuck to follow each other through possibly thick bush. More important for when they have babies, and we can actually smell the waterbuck. It's sort of almost a wet dog smell, but not quite. And it's from a gland they have that secretes a very waxy substance that they actually spread with their nose, and they'll put it across their fur. And one of the few antelope you can smell distinctly out in the African bush, and that little waxy coating gives them an almost waterproof layer when it's raining. And their fur is quite different from other antelopes' fur, in the fact that it's actually more of a quill than fur, so it's hollow, and it's to help with a couple of different reasons. To keep the water off, obviously, combined with that waxy secretion from their glands. also the only other animal that's got a very similar fur to them is a gemsbok or an oryx that lives in the desert. So it's got a very similar design of fur for a completely different reason. Here they have it to sort of keep water off, but in oryx it's for water retention. It's to make sure they don't lose any available water, because they live in some of the driest parts of the world, in the great Kalahari Desert. So while we continue to meander down the eastern boundary of our traverse area, let's go see what Jamie's up to.
While Brent meanders down the eastern boundary, I've just popped across to Twin Dams Road to see if there's any sign of that hippo that's been inhabiting the pans around here. I've done a quick U-turn though, because first of all it's not here, and second of all I don't think Rusty will survive a trip down Twin Dams without us disappearing off your screens. So for now, and I do actually have to stop for this, it's a bird we see all the time. No reverse. I'm going to try and I'll stop for the next one. The light on that starling was absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, as soon as we stopped, it decided to fly away. But that shine really comes through on days like today, and it is very bright. This is my first experience with the half-an-hour time change. And I must say, by 8:15, it's fairly warm. I'm fairly certain we're over 30 degrees already, which puts us at least close to, I would say, 89 degrees Fahrenheit already at 8:15 in the morning. And apparently it is predicted to be 36 degrees this afternoon, which is 96 degrees Fahrenheit. And I wouldn't be surprised if it meant that, or if it went even higher than that. And that, of course, is the temperature in the shade. In the sun, it probably pops up about 10 degrees higher than that. Oh, and apparently tomorrow is going to be even warmer at about 38 degrees. I'm trying to find in my search for that hippo, I went past a tortoise. It seems to have vanished. Brian, have you seen it anywhere? Yeah. You've got him? Should we go forward a bit? Let's see if we can investigate. Just behind a bush. Luckily, I've got Ryan's eagle eyes to help me out. Where are you hiding, tortoise? Brian, I'm... Cool. I'm blind. Cool. Look at how Brian spotted this tortoise. That is absolutely incredible. No, I can't see it either. Where is he gone? There he is. I'm not even sure. I can see it in the monitor. I'm not even sure where that is in real life. Well done, Brian. And this little tortoise desperately looking for a patch of shade to spend the rest of its afternoon in. Interestingly, I'm pretty sure that I've seen this tortoise before. I can't be certain. I would not in any way back myself in terms of saying I could identify one individual tortoise to another. But I have seen a large tortoise of this size wandering around on Twin Dams Road before in exactly the same position, which suggests to me that it's probably the same individual. Taking the opportunity of the early morning to go out and about, look for some food and some water, and to hide from our camera. Here he goes. The tanks of the animal kingdom. Look at him look around. A new viewer, Ryan Riefel, you were saying that this is the greatest live feed ever. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I hope you are enjoying the visuals of this tortoise's face as much as I am, even if he is hiding behind a bush. There's nothing like this experience. There we go. And as he advances upon us, and we've got the lucky advantage of the fact that we've stopped and we're stationary, and he's decided, I was going to say he's decided to move towards us, but he's changed his mind, and he's placing himself in the thickest bush he can find to try and hide not from us, but from the burning effects of the sun. Here we go. Sure. I love tortoises. I think they are absolutely fascinating. Now, there are all kinds of wonderful animals out here that we get to view and experience in their natural context. But Christopher, you were wondering what animal, if I could pick one animal to domesticate and have as a pet, what would I choose? And my answer, Christopher, is actually dogs or cats. Just because that domestication has happened over thousands and thousands of years, we have bred that kind of reliance upon us and become, as a species, fairly dependent upon each other. And the reason I say that is I personally don't believe in domesticating wild creatures. Now, if I were to, let me put that aside for a moment. Let's put aside that thought and say if I was purely selfish about it and I wanted to domesticate something, it's a tricky one. Because you can't, I mean, domesticating wild animals is a really difficult business. Probably the animal that apparently domesticates very well is a cheetah, which would be incredible. I mean, from a selfish perspective, all of us would absolutely love to have a pet cheetah purring on the ends of our beds. Not, of course, fair at all on the animal that belongs purely in the wild. It hasn't got those instincts to be domestic at all. And I'm going to go through a bit of a dip here. So just bear with me one moment. I'm not going to speak for a while. There we go. Seems to be okay. I love spotted hyenas. I think that they are very intelligent creatures. I don't know that I'd want to have one as a pet though. First of all, the chewing. Second of all, the anal pasting. Servals are incredible. All of the wild creatures we can selfishly imagine having, but it would be very difficult to actually put into practice and not ethical, really. A wild dog, imagine having a wild dog sprinting around your house. They're such pack-focused animals, you could guarantee that that animal will be by your side day and night. Brian, what would you pick? Hard one. It's a difficult one. For all of us, it's a difficult question to answer because we'd never, ever want to be involved in putting it into practice. You don't want to have something like a lion or a leopard as a pet, I can promise you that, because they are one step away. However much we love them from a distance and love watching their natural behavior, they are wild animals. They do not domesticate, and you are just asking for trouble in those particular circumstances. And even the lion experts that have rescued lions from appalling conditions and interact with them from a direct physical basis, even they say that they are very aware of the risk of being killed by something like that, even in play. So a lion is definitely off the list. Hippo is definitely off the list. A rhino would be awesome. It'd be like having a giant cow wandering through your garden if it was domesticated, and they do habituate really well. Imagine sitting on a rhino's back. But it's the sort of thing that just I try not to actually encourage, because it's all hype. This is a purely hypothetical concept. Ultimately, nothing brings me greater pleasure than sitting with an animal, as we do sometimes with elephant herds or karula or the inkahumas, sitting with them and observing their natural behavior and knowing that we're not having an impact in any major way on the way that they go about their daily business. That to me is where the pleasure and the privilege of living out here really lies. To watch an animal behave as it's done for hundreds of thousands of years. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've had some incredible experiences in between moments of technical gremlins. Poor old Rusty will need to be visiting the doctor today and get some things treated. But yes, absolutely amazing. Tingana disappeared off, lost his kill to the hyenas, looks like he's gone on to Hoffman's, and that amazing baby monkey. And of course, for all of us, what we will remember about this morning is that first few moments spent with the Queen of Djuma's new babies. Something that, even though I wasn't there, gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. So I hope that you had a wonderful time. I certainly did. And despite the gremlins, I enjoyed every moment of my morning. Big thank you to Brian for being involved in that wonderful morning and his incredible camera work and knowing just when to stop on a monkey and what that monkey's going to do. It's what makes our cameramen amongst the best in the world, in my opinion. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you as well for your questions and your comments. I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Catch us for the sunset safari this afternoon because we do have some exciting prospects ahead. Cheers for now, guys.
So, what an incredible sunrise safari. And we had a request, I'm afraid I can't remember who it was from, much earlier, that we make Andrew come stand in front of the camera and we have an uncle photo together, a screenshot. So, Andrew, set to the camera from the bonnet.
Yes, you'll have to stand.
I have to stand so Andrew can set the camera. So there we go. Andrew is now taking his time on purpose. Here he comes. He's unplugging his earpiece. There comes Andrew Joseph Francis. There we go. There's the uncle screenshot. Karula's got cubs. So exciting. And we're really, really happy and privileged that we were the first to be able to witness that with all of you on the back of the vehicle. So you were there with us live. There we go. Now back to your work, Andrew. So really, really incredible and really exciting prospects. Now, as exciting as it is, we can't get ahead of ourselves. As I said, leopard cubs have a very high mortality rate, between 70 and 80% in the Sabi Sands. That is the reason we're not going to be going there for a while. So we will keep you updated, but we aren't going to be able to go there on the safaris. We need to give Karula as much space as possible at the moment till those cubs are a little bit older. I'm hoping it's more than one. I only saw one, and as I said, we're giving her space. Once we confirmed the cub was there, we left without waiting. So really, really exciting, and well, it's going to be an interesting few months. And fascinating that she chose that den site, and amazing that we've actually seen another leopard in that den site, Djuma from her last successful litter. So really, really wonderful news, and I know the whole Safari Live team, and when I say the Safari Live team, I mean everyone here at Djuma and all of you out there who join us every day for these safaris are just as excited as I am. I'm literally vibrating with excitement, and I know everyone else is as well. So on a positive note as well, we are going to be seeing a lot more of Karula. Even though we might not go into the den, we are able to traverse the roads around the den, and she is going to be hunting and going out for to drink. So we will be seeing, I predict, far more Karula sightings in the next while, because she is going to be in that area. So if she does make a kill, she will actually move from the kill back to the den. She'll feed and then return to feed the cub or cubs, and then go back to the kill. So she is going to be around the center of Djuma. Literally, if you had to drop a pin where she is, it's almost smack bang in the middle of Djuma, which is great. And she is known as the Queen of Djuma. So the Queen is back in residence, so to speak. And with the cubs here, she's unlikely to move too far into our neighboring properties. So very, very excited. For those of you who might have joined us a little bit late this morning and might have missed that initial sighting of Karula's cub, it wasn't the best sighting, but the girls in Final Control have prepared a little clip, and in a few moments we will show you the little clip of that tiny little spots of those cubs. Let's imagine those cubs are actually less than 12 hours old. We left her at about 7 o'clock last night, and we were back there before 7. So those cubs possibly definitely hours old. So we're going to leave you with the last view of Karula's cub. And don't forget to join Scott and James on the Sunset Safari.